now.
Certainly. We were very saddened to be closed in March with everyone else, and then the city, after 8 weeks of being on leave, the city had to take the drastic measure to reduce funding somewhere, and so they put all of the museum staff on furlough, except for me. So, and I was only here part-time, so I was just trying to keep the wheels turning a little bit. But then fortunately back in mid-August, we got some staff back part-time, and then now they're all back. And so we are looking at opening on the 29th now that we have the galleries ready and safe. And we'll be open Tuesdays through Fridays, 11 to 4, sorry.
So you said you had to get your galleries ready. Were you in the process of doing a new exhibit, or you just had, okay, so explain that.
We were in the process, we were almost done installing our new exhibit, the 1950s Part 2, Beyond the American Dream, when we had to shut down. And then also to get the galleries ready, we went through and thoroughly cleaned everything, as well as put a product on called Prevent X, which is an antimicrobial, that's hard to say, an antimicrobial that puts a thin layer on and helps attract viruses and germs to it, and they kind of stick to it, so it will help kind of in between the disinfecting to try to keep people from getting any germs as well.
That's great. So as you do that, what will people expect when they come in as far as masks and sanitizing?
We do require masks because that's part of the county and city regulations at this point. We also are requesting the people social distance. You can stay in the group that you came with, but try to stay the 6 feet away from everybody, from other people in the galleries. We are also asking parents to keep their children with them, or I should say parents need to stay with their children, just to kind of help with that social distancing and making sure that they know what the kids are touching and those kind of things. Throughout the gallery, we've made safety features. We've added lots of sanitizing wipes, as well as sanitizing for your hands. And we just hope to keep everyone as safe as possible without closing down all of our hands-on things.
So now talk a little bit about the exhibit itself. This is part 2 of something. Talk a little bit about the first part 1 and then what people can expect to see when they come.
Well, part 1 was, now I have to think, that's been so long ago. Part 1 was the American Dream, question mark. And we went over the kind of what you expect from the 50s, the nostalgia, we delved a little bit deeper, but I mean, we talked about all the good things of the 50s. Beyond the American Dream gets into the harder part of the 1950s. We talk about the polio, we talk about the Red Scare, Korean War, Cold Wars with the Red Scare on that, and social injustices that have happened, some of the social movements that were happening with the NAACP.
Talk a little bit about how the museum acquires what you exhibit and how it all ties into being here in Saline County.
Exactly. What we do acquire, we do request that everything that's donated to the museum is from Saline or Saline County, because that is our focus, that's our mission, is to showcase that history of our area. And most of our objects do come from donation. People come in and say, are you interested in this? And we will put it through a process to see if we do accept it. We accept some things, we don't accept others, but through that process that's when it's all decided. But so most items have been, like I say, donated, and the actual collection started back in 1879 with donations to the Saline County Historical Society.
That's so great. That's such a rich history. You know, I don't know, I haven't seen part of the exhibit yet, but is this maybe going to be helping people be thoughtful about some of the things that are happening in our culture now and see maybe where they got their roots leading to 2020?
It definitely will. I mean, we didn't consciously, because we didn't know about the coronavirus and all of that, or the social upheaval that has happened. But when you go through the exhibit, you can really see those parallels and where that kind of anger can come from. or scare with the polio. I mean, we have that with the coronavirus and the social injustice. It just is, there's a really nice parallel to it. We even have a bomb shelter in the exhibit that people can go in, and while we're not to that stage, thank goodness, but that, I mean, there was really a lot of fear in the 50s, real similar to what we are experiencing now.
You know, we don't really know what's happening in the future with COVID and if things will get worse, if they'll get better. So the way you're managing, I imagine, is kind of changing. How are you taking the big picture in and then dealing with your day-to-day activities?
Well, the big picture, the one word that keeps coming up is flexibility. You need to stay flexible and try to do what you can, do what you can't. You do try to plan for some possibilities that may happen, but you don't want to be all doom and gloom and say, oh, we're not going to be able to do this, we're not going to be able to do that. We look at it more of in the way of what are the possibilities. If this were to continue, what can we do to make this still a good place to come visit, or be able to go out and meet you where you're at if you can't get down here.
And so ending up to tell people why it's a good idea to come, it sounds really good. What do you say to people? Why should they be here?
Oh, you always need to know where you've come from, and the museum is a great place to learn that. It's a great place to connect and find out where you are in the world. Not just where you came from, but where you are, and find those connections with people from the past, like, oh, I'm not the only one that's thought of this, or wow, they actually did that with that little bit of stuff. Then, you know, we really take our lives for granted, and being able to see what people have gone through in the past is really a wondrous thing.